A strong COO can make a company look healthier than it is. The meetings still move, the founder still gets translated, the team still gets enough direction to keep going. The stuck priority gets nudged forward one more time. Nothing fully breaks, and that is exactly why the problem stays hidden. Because the system is not necessarily getting better at closing decisions. One capable operator may simply be getting better at absorbing the drag. They clarify what the meeting did not close. They carry the trade-off nobody named. They interpret founder hesitation. They rescue the same priority often enough that everyone starts treating the rescue as normal. From the outside, that looks like strength. Inside the system, it may be dependency. And for the operator, it can become a quiet trap. They become valuable for the exact work that drains them. That is one of the most important hidden drag patterns I've seen in founder-led companies and leadership teams. The organization doesn't always look broken. Sometimes it looks like it has a great operator, a COO who can hold the whole picture, a chief of staff who can translate the room, a president or GM who can make messy decisions usable, a senior operator who usually seems to know what actually needs to happen next. Those people are valuable, but their strength can also hide the fact that the decision system underneath them is weak. The team appears aligned because the operator keeps translating. Execution appears steady because the operator keeps rescuing. The founder appears less of a bottleneck because the operator keeps buffering. The meetings appear productive because the operator closes enough of the gaps afterwards. And over time, the company starts confusing one person's capacity with organizational maturity. That is what today's episode is about. Welcome back to the Hidden Drag Brief. My name is Wojnowski. Today we're talking about the hidden cost of capable operators absorbing bad structure. And the core question is simple. What is your organization asking one strong operator to absorb that the system itself should have learned to close? Because this is where hidden drag can become hard to see. Not because the drag has disappeared, because someone has learned how to carry it. Let me make this practical. A leadership team has a recurring priority that keeps slipping. It could be pricing. It could be a product trade-off. It could be a major customer commitment. It could be a hiring decision. It could be whether to keep funding an initiative that is not producing the expected return. The issue comes up in a meeting. People talk through the options. There is apparent agreement. The conversation feels mature enough. No one storms out. No one openly blocks the decision. But after the meeting, the decision does not really hold. Sales is still unsure what to say. Product is still hedging. Finance is still modeling 2 or 3 versions. The founder still wants to think about it. The team can feel that the trade-off has not been truly accepted. Then the operator steps in. The COO follows up with sales. The chief of staff clarifies what the founder meant. The president checks with finance. The GM gives the team enough direction to keep moving. Someone writes the message that probably should have been said in the room. Someone smooths out the ambiguity. Someone closes enough of the gap that the business can keep functioning. And that is useful. In the moment, it may even be necessary. But the system learns the wrong lesson. It does not learn how to close the decision better. It learns that the operator will absorb what did not close. And that is the trap. The operator solved the immediate problem, but the structure remained unchanged. And if the structure remains unchanged, the same kind of drag comes back again. Maybe with a different topic, maybe with a different team, maybe in a different meeting, but the pattern repeats. The decision is discussed but not fully closed. The trade-off is felt but not named. The founder's hesitation is sensed but not surfaced. The owner is assumed but not explicit. The authority path is fuzzy. The reopening rule does not exist, and the operator fills the gap again. This is why strong operators can make weak systems look functional for a long time. They are often excellent at pattern recognition. They know where the real decision sits. They know which leader needs context. They know what the founder will worry about later. They know what the team heard versus what was actually said. They know when the room is calling something alignment because nobody wants to name the disagreement. They know how to keep motion alive. And that is real skill. But the question is whether the skill is strengthening the system or simply compensating for it. Those are not the same thing. A strong operator should make the organization better at deciding over time. They should not become the permanent substitute for decision structure. So how do you know when a capable operator has become the workaround? Well, here are 5 signs. The first sign is that the same decisions keep routing back to them. Not because they formally own the decision, but because everyone trusts them to know what is really going on. That can feel efficient, but it is often a warning sign. If every uncleared decision eventually finds its way to the COO, Chief of Staff, President, GM, or Senior Operator, the company may not have real decision ownership. It may have a human routing layer. The second sign is that people ask the operator what the founder really meant. This happens constantly in founder-led companies. The founder says something in a meeting. Everyone nods. Then, after the meeting, people check with the operator. Do we actually have approval? Was that a decision or just a thought? Should we move now or wait? Is the founder comfortable with this? What did they really mean? If the team needs one person to interpret founder intent before acting, authority is not clear. The operator may be helping, but the structure is weak. The third sign is that recommendations turn into options. This one is subtle and it matters. Capable leaders do not always stop contributing when decision drag appears. They adapt. If their recommendations keep getting reopened, softened, second-guessed, or delayed, they learn to protect themselves. Instead of saying, here's the call I recommend, and here's why, they start saying, here are 3 options. Option A, option B, option C. Here are the trade-offs. Which one do you want? That can look thoughtful, and sometimes it is, but sometimes it means the system has taught capable people not to own the call. They bring options because they know the decision will not hold unless someone above them absorbs the discomfort. The operator usually sees that shift before anyone else does. The fourth sign is that the operator has become the meeting after the meeting. The formal meeting ends, and then the real closure happens afterward. The founder checks in with the COO, a VP asks the Chief of Staff what actually closed, the President clarifies the boundary with finance, the operator sends the note that turns a vague conversation into usable direction. And again, this may be useful, but if the real decision closure keeps happening after the formal decision meeting, the meeting is not doing its job. The operator is. The fifth sign is that the system gets noticeably worse when the operator steps back. This is actually the cleanest test. What happens when the operator is away for a week? What happens when the COO stops rescuing the same priority? What happens when the Chief of Staff does not translate the founder's intent? What happens when the President lets the unclear approval path reveal itself instead of smoothing it over? If the system slows immediately, the operator was not just adding value, they were carrying the load the system had not learned to carry. That is hidden drag. And this is where many leadership teams misread the problem. They say we need better communication, or we need more follow-through, or we need people to take more ownership, or we need stronger accountability. Maybe, but sometimes those are downstream symptoms. The deeper issue is that the organization has not clearly answered the basic decision questions. Who owns the call? What trade-off are we accepting? What authority has actually moved? What does the founder need to be consulted on versus approve? What would justify reopening the decision later? What should happen when the decision creates discomfort after the meeting? If those answers are not clear, the operator keeps filling the gap. And the better the operator is, the longer the gap can stay invisible. That is why this pattern can persist for years. The system gets just enough rescue to avoid breaking, but not enough structure to get stronger. There is also a personal cost here that deserves to be named. A strong operator can spend years being rewarded for absorbing ambiguity. They become trusted because they can anticipate the founder. They become indispensable because they can translate the room. They become valuable because they can make the unclear usable. But what makes them valuable can also become what drains them, because they are not only doing their job, they are doing the system's unfinished work. They are carrying decisions nobody owned. They are protecting momentum from unclear authority. They are absorbing trade-offs nobody wanted to name. They are making the system look calmer than it really is. And that is not sustainable as a design. And it is not the best use of a strong operator. The goal is not to remove the operator's judgment. The goal is to stop wasting it. A great COO should not spend their best energy translating unresolved ambiguity every week. A strong chief of staff should not become indispensable because the leadership team refuses to close alignment. A president or GM should not carry accountability without authority. A capable operator should not have to rescue the same priority over and over because the decision structure never changed. So, what do? Start smaller than most teams want to start. Do not try to diagnose the entire operating model. Pick one recurring priority, one priority the operator keeps having to rescue, and then ask 6 questions. First, what decision keeps resurfacing? Name the actual decision, not the general topic. It's not pricing. The decision is whether we are willing to hold price and risk slower conversion, or discount selectively and risk margin discipline. Not roadmap. The decision is whether we will delay platform work to satisfy a strategic customer or protect the roadmap and risk the renewal. Not hiring. The decision is whether we are willing to hire ahead of demand or accept slower execution until revenue catches up. Specificity matters. Second, who formally owns the decision? Not who cares, not who has input, not who is best at cleaning it up afterward. Who owns it? If that answer is unclear, the operator will probably end up owning the cleanup. Third, what trade-off has the team avoided naming? This is usually where the drag lives. Most stuck decisions are not stuck because the team lacks intelligence. They are stuck because accepting one path means giving something up. Margin or speed? Focus or optionality? Founder control or operator authority? Customer responsiveness or roadmap discipline? When the trade-off is named, the decision becomes easier to see. Not easier to like, easier to see. Fourth, where is authority assumed but not real? A COO may own operations but still not truly own the hard trade-off. A revenue leader may own pricing, but the team may still wait for founder comfort. A product leader may own the roadmap, but a strategic customer can still trigger founder override. The title says one thing, the operating behavior says another. Watch the behavior. Fifth, who is absorbing the ambiguity right now? This is the question that makes the pattern harder to ignore. Who keeps clarifying this? Who keeps translating it? Who keeps fielding the escalation? Who keeps managing the founder's hesitation? Who keeps protecting the team from the lack of closure? That person may be valuable. They may also be overloaded by design. Sixth, what closure artifact would let the system carry this without that person? Not a longer recap, not better meeting notes, a closure artifact. A simple written record that says the decision is this. The owner is this person. The trade-off we are accepting is this. The next step is this. The authority path is this. This decision only reopens if this condition changes. That is not bureaucracy. That is how you stop making one operator carry the whole system in their head. And it changes the work, because now the operator is not simply rescuing the priority again. They are helping the system learn how to close. That is the difference. Rescue keeps the business moving today. Closure makes the system stronger tomorrow. Both may be needed, but if you only rescue, the dependency grows. This is why the hidden cost of capable operators absorbing bad structure is so high. It compounds in delayed revenue decisions. It compounds in founder capacity drain. It compounds in operator overload. It compounds in leadership teams that keep discussing the same priority and calling it progress. It compounds in capable people who become quieter because they have learned their judgment will not hold. And eventually, it compounds in trust. Because people can feel when decisions are not real. They can feel when authority is performative. They can feel when the meeting ended but the decision is still emotionally open. They can feel when the operator is the real operating system. So the next time someone says, "We're lucky to have a great COO," or "Our chief of staff keeps moving everything," or "Our president always finds a way to get it done," pause for a moment. That may be true, but ask the second question. Is the system getting stronger because of them? Or is the system staying weak because of them? That distinction matters, because the goal is not to need less capable operators. The goal is to stop using capable operators as a substitute for closure. If you are a founder, ask yourself, where has a capable operator become the bridge between my hesitation and the team's need for closure? Where do people still wait for my comfort even when someone else technically owns the decision? Where am I relying on a strong person instead of building a stronger decision system? If you're a COO, a chief of staff, president, GM, or a senior operator, ask yourself, which priority keeps coming back to me because ownership, authority, or trade-offs were never clear enough to hold elsewhere? What ambiguity am I translating that the leadership team should have closed? Where have I become valuable for absorbing something that should no longer need to be absorbed? And if you're on a leadership team, ask, if this operator stepped away for 2 weeks, which decisions would slow down immediately? That is where to look. Not because the operator is the problem, because the operator may be showing you where the real problem lives. Strong operators are often not the issue. They are, in fact, the evidence. They reveal where the system is underbuilt. They reveal where decision ownership is unclear. They reveal where trade-offs have not been accepted. They reveal where authority has not truly moved. They reveal where the organization is relying on personal strength instead of structural clarity. And that is where hidden drag lives. If one important priority keeps coming back to the same operator, do not just ask why people are not executing. Ask what decision, ownership, authority trade-off, or reopening rule never fully closed. That is exactly what the hidden drag diagnostic is designed to help surface. It takes you about 7 to 10 minutes, and it helps identify whether the issue is decision drag, alignment drag, structural drag, human drag, or a mixed pattern. You can find the link in the description. And if you're feeling hesitant about completing the diagnostic, but you'd still like to have a conversation about how some of these ideas might be able to help you, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, follow me and send me a DM, and I'd be happy to have the conversation with you. Thanks for listening to the Hidden Drag Brief. If this helped you see the load a capable operator may be carrying more clearly, like the video if you're watching on video, subscribe for more short notes on decision closure, and share it with someone who keeps watching the same priority come back to the same person. I'll see you next time.